Yo, what is up, Broncos country? How's it going today, guys? Me and Muhammad are back, and boy, do me and Muhammad got a lot of news for all you guys. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. But before we get into that, could you please like, comment, subscribe on this video? Also, hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. And Muhammad, how was your week, man? Did you have any good things happen to you this week, or was it just a normal lazy work week, pretty much?
It was kind of long. I worked a lot this week, but I was off yesterday. Um, the weather has been on and off. Past couple of days been good. Actually, it was pretty hot the week before. But overall good. Football's back Thursday. Hall of Fame preseason game. They didn't play the starters or anything, but hey, it's football. Football is back. I can feel it in the air. I know we were talking about it before we went live. About all these games we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's preseason, but hey, it's football. I'll take it. Let's go.
Yeah, we had the Hall of Fame game this past Thursday, which was the Chargers and the Detroit Lions, which the Detroit Lions got smacked in that game. Granted, it's just preseason game. The wins and losses don't really matter. But I will say something funny. The Detroit Lions, I think they got beat by it was like 34-7 was the final score, I think. I watch mostly because I like watching football, of course. But I wanted to see what Omari Hampton could do because he did play in that game. He had a few snaps and then he got taken out, but he didn't really do much. But I don't think he had no snaps in there to do much. But one thing I want to touch on real quick before we get into everything else we got planned tonight. I was watching a video earlier on YouTube, Muhammad. I just want to get your reaction on this, just your blunt, right now reaction. Detroit Lion fans are freaking the hell out right now. Like, they're like, oh my God, we need Ben Johnson back because the offense only scored 7 points. Even though it's just preseason, it's all your backups playing. I mean, yeah, the Chargers scored 34 points, but Lion fans were losing their damn mind because the offense looked so bad. Just on a whim here, what's your response to that?
I mean, Eddie, like I wouldn't be saying anything. It's a preseason game, like we said. The starters didn't play, but I'm kind of anticipating the Lions to decline this year because of the loss of their coordinators. Now, how bad is it? I don't know. They have a pretty good team as far as the team itself is pretty good, but the coordinators maybe in the first couple of weeks they're going to struggle a little bit until things kind of fall in place. But I don't think the Lions will be as we think they were like the couple of seasons before.
Yeah, I like if I was a Lions fan, I wouldn't be freaking out at all right now either. Like it's the preseason, and basically we all know this, Mohammed. Like preseason, they're not going 100%. No team is, and no
Yeah,
team is using their full playbook on the offense or defensive side. They're basically just running generic plays.
yeah, scripted. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because they're not trying to give away all their playbook in the preseason. Like again, if it was a regular season game where these games actually mattered towards something, then yeah, they probably put a little bit more of their playbook into it, use a little bit more. But the fact that these games mean nothing, it's mostly just about seeing what your young players are and who your backups are going to be. Like you're not going to use your full playbook. So if I was a Lions fan, I wouldn't be worried about it at all. They're still trying to install their playbook. So, um, but forget all that, guys. Let's get into one of the first main topics of our pod tonight, and that is Micah Parsons request or demanding a trade out of Dallas. Now, of course, with any big superstar like a Micah Parsons who requests a trade out of his town, we'll go over what he said on Twitter here in a moment, guys. But of course, every fan from every fan base is like, we want Micah Parsons. Bring him here. Talk acting like they're talking to the team. Like we want Micah Parsons in our team. He'll make us a whatever, a Super Bowl contender, a playoff contender, whatever. But I want to ask you personally, Mohammed, should the Denver Broncos acquire about Micah Parsons if he's made available?
Yeah, Eddie, but like before I go into that, I just want to say that the Cowboys are just an embarrassment to the NFL. I swear to God, they can just never get anything right. You have a player that, like you said, all teams are just licking their chops. Like, can we get him? Please bring him, because they know what kind of player he is to your organization. They wait all this time. to pay him. Now he's too expensive. They don't want to pay him. He doesn't want to play for the Cowboys anymore. I don't know if he's bluffing or not, but he's not happy. Why? Why are you doing this? But hey, they're whatever. The Cowboys are always going to be the Cowboys. I don't know why they're America's team, but um, absolutely, Eddie. Yes, why not? I mean, we talked about it. Him coming to Denver would immediately make us a Super Bowl contender. Hands down. That's not the type of player he is for our defense. The only concern I would have, Eddie, is like, what is the cost going to be? Like, what are the Cowboys going to be asking for? 2 first-round picks, 3 first-round picks, maybe 2 first rounds, and a player. Maybe they're going to say, you give us Nick Benito and 2 first-round picks. Are we going to do that? I don't know. Let's say we come up with some sort of a package. We have to give him a contract, Eddie. And he's going to be asking for top dollar now. So that would be my only concern. If the Broncos can somehow figure it out, why not? We have an elite defense. Imagine putting Micah Parsons in there. That'll just be amazing.
Well, my whole take on this is like, if you can get him, of course, go get him. Like, he's like arguably one of the best pass rushers, if not, if you want to say it, the best pass rusher in the game. But I'm right there with you, Muhammad. It's like, what is it going to cost to come get him? And it ain't just going to be, what the Broncos can pony up, themselves. Like, if the Cowboys, like the Broncos call them tomorrow and say, hey, what would it take, kind of ballpark, to get Micah Parsons? And say Jerry Jones is like 3 first-round picks, Nick Benito, and possibly another player. But I guarantee you, if Jerry Jones makes it public that, okay, we're open to trading Micah Parsons, I guarantee you there's going to be the majority, if not all teams in the NFL are going to be making that call. Micah Parsons is only 26 years old. He's arguably one of the best, if not the best, like I said just a few minutes ago, best pass rusher in the game right now. And he's only 26.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a battle, man. Like, teams are going to come in with some of the crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a team give up 4 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, as a starting point for them to get Micah Parsons. Especially like a team like the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens, or God, should I say the Kansas City Chiefs, that could desperately use that because they're in their Super Bowl now window and they're trying to win one, especially like the Bills or the Ravens or something like that, because they're desperately trying to win. So the Broncos are going to have
the Commanders, but the Commanders could be in the conversation as well.
Well, I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, the Broncos are going to have to compete with almost every team, and I think it's going to get too rich for the Broncos. Like, I wouldn't want to. If you just got your first round picks back last year in 2024, like, yes, I understand Micah Parsons, best rusher in the game, but I would rather keep my picks and just go try to see maybe you can find something like that in the draft. Yeah. I mean, George Paton's really good at finding talent in the draft, especially in the later rounds. I would rather just keep my picks and just look and let other teams fight for it. But if you can get him, I shouldn't say cheap, but it's not going to fucking completely destroy your franchise. Yeah, go get him. But also at the same time, we got to talk about the contract extension. Now, we saw TJ Watt about, Muhammad, about a month ago or so, get a new contract. And he's 30 years old. And honestly, I think Micah Parsons is probably about the same level, if not maybe a little bit better. And he has more time to get better and have a higher ceiling than TJ Watt.
Sorry.
So and he's younger. So 1,000% he's going to want at least $42 million a year.
Yeah.
I don't think the Broncos, like, we'll talk about the contract extensions in a little bit, but I don't think the Broncos are going to want to pony up that kind of money for even if it's Micah Parsons for that kind of a pass rusher. With here in a few years, you're going to have to pay Bo Nix. Like, you got, I think 2025 after the 2026 season, I think that's when you can start negotiating talks with Bo Nix. But yeah, I would be for it, but I just don't think the Broncos are going to be able to do it because there's going to be a million teams out there just throwing all kinds of stuff at them. But moving on to the next point, you kind of touched on it, like talking about the Commanders possibly getting him. It's not going to happen with the Commanders. It's not going to happen with the Eagles. It's not like the Dallas Cowboys are not going to trade him within the division.
Yeah.
They're stupid, but I don't think any franchise is that stupid to trade a player like Michael Parsons within their division.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, Jerry Jones proven he's stupid. He doesn't know how to get contracts done, and he's a businessman. But every year he waits. Like last year, I think, what was it? Dak Prescott? They wait until like an hour before the season started to pay Dak Prescott. And CeeDee Lamb was like a week before the season started. Like, he's insane. Like, Jerry Jones is not a good businessman, because if he was, he'd be doing what the Broncos are doing right now, getting contract extensions done early. To like Patrick Surtain, great example. We paid him last year. He's making a total of $96 million over, what was it, 4 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
And now look at the cornerback room. It exploded. Yep. Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey. We went over it a couple of weeks ago. Like, these guys are making more than Surtain, and Surtain's the best corner in the league. Good teams, good front offices get deals done early before the market explodes for that position. It's already exploded for Micah Parsons, so they're going to have to pay him at the bare minimum $42 million a year. And speaking of trading, like, in my personal opinion, if the Cowboys do wind up trading Micah Parsons, I already said, like, they're not going to trade him within the division. That would be like the most idiotic thing to do. I don't even think they're going to trade him within the conference. They're not going to trade him within the NFC. If the Cowboys wind up trading him, he's going to come to the AFC. He's going to go to an AFC team. God, I hope that's not the Chargers, Raiders, or, Chiefs. I really don't. Like, any other AFC team besides those, if it ain't the Broncos or any of the other AFC teams, I do not want him going to the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs at all. And honestly, if I had to say right now, I'd rather him go to the Chargers or Chiefs more than the Raiders, because then you would have a young Max Crosby and a Micah Parsons on the same defensive line. The Raiders would be a nightmare.
Yes, they would. We already got to deal with Crosby, so we don't read the second one, please.
Well, a lot of people are going to say, well, what about Chris Jones? Yeah, Chris Jones is good, but he wasn't the same player last year as he was in years past. Like, he's getting older.
Yes, yeah.
Like, Max Crosby, I think he's like, what, 28? So he's still got a couple of years left in his prime, and you put Micah Parsons with him. Oh my God,
Eddie, they might do.
You're going to have to play, heavy bunch formations every freaking game you play the Raiders, just to keep enough people in to block those two. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of him going to those teams, but I do believe if the Cowboys do wind up trading Micah Parsons, it's going to be an AFC team that gets him. Because they're not going to trade him within the division. I only think they're going to trade him within the conference, to be honest with you. I really, really, really don't.
But Eddie, I'm leaning more towards the Cowboys going to end up paying him anyway. He's probably not going to go anywhere. That would make more sense.
The Cowboys will. Jerry Jones is going to be it depends on what you think Micah Parsons means, because Micah Parsons posted on X the other day saying he pretty much flat out said, I'm done with the Dallas Cowboys. He's like, I wanted to be here. I want them to pay me. I want to, stay here. But he basically said in his, rant the other day on X, he's done. He wants out. He does not want to be a Dallas Cowboy anymore. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Myles Garrett said the same thing during the spring. I'm done with Cleveland. I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me. What happened? They gave him $40 million. He stayed there. Micah Parsons, depending on what you want to believe, does Micah Parsons really he says, I do not want to play in Dallas. I do not want to be here anymore. They've already made me mad enough. I'm done with them. Or is this a bluff to get the money?
He sounds kind of mad, like he's really done, but money talks sometimes, right?
Exactly. Money talks. Like, if they say they go to Micah Parsons tomorrow and say, hey, we'll give you $43 million a year. Say over 4 years, say like almost $200 million. He's going to take it.
I would. Come on.
So, but before we get into our next topic, Muhammad, we got a couple of comments here. One from Michael. He's like, Ed Muhammad, what's up, Michael? Appreciate you joining us today, man. He's a big supporter, man. He's been with us since we've started this channel, Michael. We really, really appreciate you, dog. We really do. Got another one here from Michael. He says Zach Allen's new contract extension with the Broncos today. Oh, renewed contract. Okay, yeah. Yeah. And we're gonna get into that right about now. So today the news broke, Muhammad. I want to get your thoughts on this. Today the news broke. Zach Allen gets a new deal with the Broncos, a 4-year, $102 million contract with the Denver Broncos. 69.5 million is fully guaranteed, and the average salary is about 25.5 million. What are your thoughts on this?
I was pretty happy, Eddie. I mean, I waited. I thought they're gonna still wait because they just did the contract for Cortland Sutton, which we're gonna get into. But it's a pretty good deal for both parties. I think the guaranteed money. It's an average of 25 million. I could feel like he really wants to stay with the Broncos. He wasn't like going crazy. I think he's like the third highest paid, so he deserves it, man. He deserves it. He played really well last year, so yeah, he really deserved that contract that he got, and I'm glad we got that out. Now all we have to worry about is Nick Benito.
Yeah, I literally just woke up this morning. Like I think it was like 7 o'clock. I woke up this morning, and I do what I do every morning. I roll over, I grab my phone, and I lay in bed for about 20 minutes, and I just scroll through Facebook or X or whatever. And literally, the second I grab my phone and I open it up, one of the first two things I see on Facebook was from Adam Schefter. Zach Allen signs a new deal with the Denver Broncos, and you know, being the guy I am, like I'll read something like that on Facebook and I don't immediately believe it. So what do? I go to X,
Yeah.
And if I see like 2 or 3 comments on there, yeah, this guy signed, or post on there like this guy signed, this guy signed, this guy signed. Yeah. Then that's whenever I'm like, okay, yeah, it's real. So I roll over, check my Facebook.
Is this real? Come on, Eddie.
Yeah. I rolled over, saw it on Facebook. I'm like, wait. Let me get on X real quick and just double check. I went on there. The first like 10 things on my X were Zach Allen signs a new deal with the Denver Broncos. Like, I guess it's real. So I was all excited, man. Then I didn't get a chance to really look at it at first because it took a minute for all the details to come out. But then I saw it. I was like, oh, 4 years, 69.5 million is guaranteed. And, over 4 years, which I don't know what that, I think it equals out to, what is it? Like, I think like the last 2 years or last year is voided on that contract. And like the first 3 years are like 25, because it kind of depends on the salary, because also 14 million is due to him this year, and that's included in on the deal. So so it's about 25 million a year over 3 years. It's basically a 3-year deal or 25 million a year.
Yeah,
and it's perfect because a lot of these contracts the Broncos are doing, they're doing it to where the contracts end in about 3 years, right around the time the Broncos will have to pay Bo Nix.
Actually, they're smart.
So, that's a real smart way to go about these contracts. Get these contracts done early. That way they look cheap in about a year, but you're paying all this money now that you have. And then once Bo Nix comes up, you can pay Bo Nix and you can move on from these veteran guys, because most of these guys are going to be in their like early to mid 30s by the time these contracts are up. And you can decide at that point, like, hey, do we want to keep these guys? Are they playing well enough? We'll have to get them back on a discount. Or this guy's not playing well enough, get him away. Get him out of here. So George Payton really knows how to work those contracts, man. It's awesome to see. I'm super excited, man. I really am. Like, Zach Allen is a beast to have on that defensive line. Like, he's going to be eating a lot of double teams this year, and you're going to be seeing Nick Benito and freaking who's the other one? Jonathan Cooper getting after it. But yeah, you got so many contracts done in the last year. Like, we've got so many of our core guys locked up. And the great thing about these guys, Mohammed, they're all under the age of 30. I think the oldest one is like 28, and that's like Zach Allen. The rest of them are under that. Well, except for Cortland Sutton. I'm sorry. Cortland Sutton's 29. He'll be 30 this year. But he's the oldest. Like, most of these guys are still somewhat in their prime. And you basically got them. Like, you can get out of their contracts after like the third year. Whenever they hit 30, if they start declining, you can get rid of them and not have to eat that much of the cap.
They're doing everything the right way, Eddie. You know,
That's what winning franchises do.
exactly,
And
exactly. So
I'm loving it, dude. Like they're keeping the core guys together, keeping this defense together. Now, next up, of course, is people are talking. There's two more people you got left to sign, and that's John Franklin Myers and Nick Benito. Of course, everybody thinks, and or everybody believes, including myself, and I'm sure you too, Mohammed. The next one to get done is Nick Benito.
yeah,
But I don't think it's going to get done before the season starts. I honestly don't. I think they're going to. Nick, don't get me wrong. Nick Benito had a great year last year, but that's one solid season. I think they're going to want to at least wait a half a season, like week 8, week 9, halfway through the season, and see if Benito can kind of replicate what he did last year. If he does halfway through the season, I think that's when you'll see him get his his payday. If he kind of struggles early on in the season, they'd be like, well, let's wait. Let's see how he does the second half of the season. If he has that, breakout the second half of the season, he had another good season like last year, second half of the season, then they'll pay him next off season. So
see, Eddie, I don't want him to be kind of feeling a little, funny, saying, "Well, you all paid all these guys, and when it's time for me to get paid, you want to wait." And I mean, he's no holding out or anything, but I hope
true.
that's not.
But and I agree with that. Like I've been on Twitter, and whenever I'm on X, man, like I'm sitting there, you'll see Nick Benito. I think he did it with Sutton, and he did it with Zach Allen today too. He was like, "My boy," and talking about after they got their payday. Nick Benito has been very, very supportive, but also like I love Nick Benito. I want him to be here for a long time, just like everybody else does. But the smart decision is to see if he can replicate what he did last season before giving him that monster payday, because I truly believe the Broncos, like if the Broncos could go back in time, I think they would flip it. They would pay Nick Benito over Jonathan Cooper last year.
Yeah.
If they would have known if they would have known everything, like if it was the end of the season, if they would have known everything at that point in time that they know now about Nick Benito, they probably would have paid him before Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah, it would have been on a discount for sure.
So I think that's what they're going to do this year. I think they're going to wait. I think they wish they would have waited. I'm not saying Jonathan Cooper played bad. He played well through the entire season, but I think they're going to wait at least until halfway through the season to get a deal done with Nick Benito. So, and John Franklin Myers, I don't know. It just depends on what they got in funds next year after this year. I don't see him coming back though next year. I really don't. But we also have a couple of people in here. We got a couple more guys. If you have any questions or comments, please get them into the comment section now and we can get over them. We got a couple of comments here before we move on to the next subject. Big E Bronco, what's up, everybody? What's up, Big E? Appreciate you being in here, man. Just enjoying life, man. Just sitting here talking about Broncos football. It's finally back. I'm excited, man. I'm the happiest I've ever been this entire offseason, to be honest with you. So we got football this week, and the Broncos play next Saturday. 6 more days, guys. 6 more days, and we got Broncos football. We got another one here from Biggie Bronco. He's like, I would love to see them go trade for Micah Park. Yeah, me and Muhammad already touched on this, but yeah, we would too. But it's just, like I said, you're going to be having to compete with almost every team in the NFL to get his services. And it's going to be a bidding war. And I don't think the Broncos are going to want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they'll still make the call, but if it's too expensive or too high.
Yeah. No, definitely. They'll definitely make the call. I mean, you'd be an idiot not at least to make the call. I just don't. I think it's going to be a bidding war. And the Broncos are going to be like, you know what? They're going to get to a point like, this is too rich for us. We're not going to do this. And it's also going to be on the fact that you're going to have to pay him at least $42 million a year. So at that point, honestly, a lot of people talk about this, but if they were to do it and they could get a deal done, I'd say probably 2 firsts, 2 seconds, John Franklin Myers and Nick Benito. If you're not planning on re-signing John Franklin Myers and you're not going to wind up keeping Nick Benito if you get Micah Parsons, I would trade those 2 plus 2 firsts and 2 seconds. If that could get it done, do it. But I think it's going to be a lot more than that, honestly. So, but moving on to the next, let's talk about Courtland Sutton's contract. Now, Courtland Sutton got done earlier in the week. He got a new 4-year, $92 million or 4-year deal worth $92 million with I think it was 41 million totally guaranteed, which I think it averaged out Muhammad to and that his salary he gets this year, I think he gets like 14 million this year from the Broncos. That adds into it the guaranteed money. I think it averages out to like 23 million a year or so. But what were your thoughts on this deal when it got done?
I was very happy, Eddie. I mean, it's definitely a team friendly deal. Didn't look like he was trying to, ask for a lot of money and stuff. He was being very reasonable, knowing that other players got to get paid too. Really good for Bo Nix. His number one target is locked for 4 years. Didn't think it was gonna be like a long contract. I didn't think it would be like 4 years. Thought it'd be like a 2, 3 year deal. But hey, 4 years, 41 million guaranteed. I think they really can get out of it in a couple of years, Eddie. 2, 3 years. If Brian turned out to be who we think he's gonna be. But yeah, overall, I'm happy, man. We don't have to worry about him holding or anything. So good.
Yeah, it's basically a 2-year deal. Like I think after the 2026 season, if Cortland Sutton's not living up to it, which I don't think that's going to be the case, or even if Pat Bryant breaks out, like if Pat Bryant winds up being that what Sean Payton said he could be, the next Michael Thomas, the Broncos could get out of that contract with after year 2 of it. But it gives Cortland Sutton a little security. It gives the Broncos a little security in case Pat Bryant doesn't wind up working out, because that to me is the biggest thing. If Pat Bryant winds up being the next Michael Thomas, I'm not saying Sean Payton's going to get rid of Cortland Sutton instantly, because I think he's going to like having 2 big body wide receivers, because that's the kind of receiver he likes. But it's like if you got a younger receiver, I think what is Pat Bryant? What is he, 23? So by the time the 2 years is up for Cortland Sutton, he'll be 25. He'll still have like 5 years left to go in his prime. If he's playing better than Sutton, then why not move off of him? Bring some younger, cheaper guys in, because at that point you're getting close to the Bo Nix contract talks. So I don't want to see Sutton go anywhere either. I want to see him retire a Bronco. It just depends on what happens in the next 2 seasons. Whether Cortland Sutton can stay as that, number one and keep his spot, and what happens with Pat Bryant. Does he ball out? Does he become the number one receiver that Bo Nix is looking for? Because through camp, basically all the stuff I've been hearing through camp, through everybody, is Bo Nix is always looking for Pat Bryant, and he's always looking for Evan Ingram. Those are the 2 receivers he's constantly looking for. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll just have to see how the season plays out. Like I said, I'm happy Cortland Sutton got his money. He'll be here for at least another 2 years. It'll give Bo Nix his favorite target. But like I said, that could all change within one season. By the end of the 2025 season, we'll be sitting here talking about how Evan Ingram's Bo Nix's favorite target, or Pat Bryant's Bo Nix's favorite target. We could be talking about that by the end of the year. We don't know. We just have to wait and see how this year goes. But I wish the best for Cortland. I'm happy he's here for another couple of years, and he got his money. He got financial security for him and his family. So, yep. And Bo Nix has got his number one right now to deal with until otherwise. So I'm excited about that, man. Like, I'm pumped up for Cortland Sutton. But next up, Drew Sanders. Now, this kind of happened earlier last week, maybe last week, and like after we got off our podcast. But Drew Sanders, I think, I can't remember exactly what the injury was. I think it was like a tendon or something in his foot. Got hurt. He will be out 4 to 6 weeks. So basically, pretty much now, it's like 3 to 5 weeks. It's already been a week. He'll probably miss maybe the first game of the season. I'm assuming week 1. Could possibly be back by week 2. But Muhammad, what was your gut reaction whenever you saw this news about Drew Sanders?
I mean, Eddie, it's part of football. I mean, always going to be some kind of injury going on. Like, you're not going to go through a season without that. I mean, you hate to see it happen early on training camp, especially on that position where I don't think we're really deep on. Thinking about Greenlaw coming off an injury and Singleton coming off an injury, he just got 1 2. So it was kind of a little bit of a concern for me. But I'm glad. I think it's a ligament, Eddie. Is it a ligament or tendon? But yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, should be back. So I'm not too concerned.
I can't say I'm not concerned. I mean, for two reasons. One, for our linebacker depth, because we got some more stuff we got to talk about here. And also the fact that he tore his Achilles, I think it was last year, right before the draft last year of 2024. He tore his Achilles. So basically, he was out. I don't remember him. Did he play in any games last year, Muhammad? I don't think he did.
Yeah.
I think he was out the entire year. And
Yeah, he
then,
did like one game or something. But I don't think he
but
played.
then he hurts his tendon in his foot. Like, I don't know, man. Like, he's going to miss all the training camp. He's going to miss all the preseason. And like I said, most likely week one, he's going to miss. So I don't know, man. Like, I think Drew Sanders' time here in Denver might be up. Like, I hate that. Like, they might give him a chance later in the season. Like, they might bring him in maybe after like week one, maybe week 2, 3, somewhere along the lines in the season. They might bring him in, see how he looks. If he's not looking too good, especially in a game or in practice, they might be like, we're going to have to go a different direction here. But it just kind of sucks because I was really rooting for Drew Sanders. I really wanted to see him out there this year. But it's not looking good. You had 2 injuries back-to-back years, and I mean they might keep him too, but they might keep him as a backup. But I think his days of starting might be close to an end. He might get one more chance with the Broncos, but we'll have to wait and see. Which brings me to my next point. Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton, as we know, last year in week 3 against the Buccaneers, he tore his ACL. He finished the game. I'm sorry. I even said last year, I'm like, Alex Singleton is a Denver Bronco for life, in my opinion. He is one tough SOB. He played he tore his ACL in the first quarter of that Bucs game, and he played the rest of the game on a torn ACL. Now, this past week, he broke his finger on his right hand. I'm not sure exactly which finger he broke, but he broke a finger on his left hand. And I saw a video yesterday. He had like a brace on his hand. But basically Sean Payton said, yeah, he'll be back. Like, this was on Thursday, I think. He said he'll be back in 6 or 7 days. So basically he'll be back sometime, probably about Wednesday or Thursday of next week. He'll be back out there. But he's also recovering from an ACL injury. Muhammad, what are your thoughts on Alex Singleton with his 2 injuries he's had over the past year? Plus, he's on the wrong side of 30. What are your thoughts?
With this one, I was kind of concerned, Eddie, especially before I knew what the injury was. I mean, I'm glad it's only, I think it's a broken thumb that he had, but, Sean Payton says he's coming back in a week. I'm happy, but it's a bit of a concern for me because Alex Singleton and Greenlaw are the starters as far as I'm concerned. So, we do need them. The other players are just backups, but we do need them to be healthy for the season if we're planning to go deep on the playoffs. So definitely a concern. Hopefully he doesn't have any more complications, but it's a concern.
Yeah, this is my thing with Singleton getting hurt last year, his torn ACL, his broken finger this year, Drew Sanders being out, with the bad ligament, or what was it? Tendon, I think, hurt. And then last year he tore his Achilles, and then next subject would be Dre Greenlaw. During practice this week, he was covering. I think it was who was it? He was covering. Was it? I think it was J.K. Dobbins. He was covering in one-on-ones. He was covering Dobbins, and Dobbins beat him. But then Greenlaw turned on the burners and he started running down the field. And whenever the ball was thrown, right whenever Dobbins catched it, you saw Dre Greenlaw pull up. And then we saw him, jog. This was a good sign to me. After it happened, it was said that he was jogging into the locker room with the trainer. That I was like, okay, this ain't that serious. Like he's still walking, he's still jogging off the field. And we learned the very next day that Peyton we learned the next day that Peyton was like, he said he felt some tightness. He should be all right. And then yesterday we heard that, the test came back and everything's clear. Like nothing was wrong, nothing was torn, nothing was broke. It was just a little tightness, and I was like, most likely probably a cramp. Drink some more water, Greenlaw, Jesus. But what are your thoughts with the Greenlaw and Singleton stuff? And also, do you think with these injuries, granted, they're not that devastating, but with these injuries kind of piling up on the defensive inside linebacker position, should the Broncos, well, they kind of did, but should the Broncos go out and maybe sign another linebacker? They did sign one. They waived the corner and they brought in another corner. I forgot what his name, or another inside linebacker. I forgot what his name was. But should the Broncos maybe bring in another inside linebacker for insurance? What are your thoughts, Mohammed?
I mean, yeah, and if you just like look at each one like individually, maybe you'll just say, well, with Singleton, he's coming back. Greenlaw, it wasn't a big deal, but they both have injury concerns. So, and it's a very critical part of our defense. So, yeah, I mean, I would add like a free agent, especially a cheap one. I think CJ Mosley is available. I don't know how much he will ask, but we can bring him in as a security, just in case something happened to them. I would do that, but it is a bit of a concern, Eddie. If you look at the whole room in general, like the inside linebacker, I would not be opposed to bringing like a CJ Mosley.
Well, that's the other thing too. I forgot to put out there, Muhammad. My apologies. Is that your three top starting inside linebackers? Dre Greenlaw, Alex Singleton, and Drew Sanders. Within the past 2 years, all those guys have had a major lower body injury. Dre Greenlaw, I think it was in the Super Bowl last time the 49ers played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He was running out on the field, popped his Achilles. I think it was. Or was it his ACL? I think it was his Achilles he popped. And then Drew Sanders, right before the 2024 draft, popped his Achilles. And then last year, like I said, game 3 against the Buccaneers, Singleton tears his ACL. Like, these guys are all coming off major injuries. Now, we know Javonte Williams had the same thing happen to him. Tore his Achilles, I think it was in 2022. I'm not his Achilles, his ACL, my apologies. And he really never became – he's been almost 2 years. Or actually, it has been over 2 years. And he didn't get back to the same player he was before the tear. But I can also counter that with the fact that Courtland Sutton tore his ACL. I think it was in 2021 or 2020, one of those 2 years. But 2 years after he tore, I think it was like 22, 23, Courtland Sutton came back out and he became the old Courtland Sutton he was before he popped his ACL. So to me, it just depends on the player. Courtland Sutton's been healthy ever since he tore his ACL. I think it was the 2020 season. So it was like 5 years ago. But after like 2 years, 3 years, he was back to normal. Like, he was out there balling. So some players can return from it. And it takes about a year, maybe sometimes 2, for that player to get over that. Now, with Dre Greenlaw, you could say, well, he's younger. What is Dre Greenlaw, like 27, 28? Mm-hmm. And it's been almost 2 years since he's tore it. Singleton's the one that worries me the most because he's on the wrong side of 30. He only popped it not even a year ago. And Drew Sanders, he's young, and he popped his about a year and a half ago. We'll have to see what these guys can do in the regular season. But I'm just happy for the sake of argument that the injuries that all these players suffered, Drew Sanders, Alex Singleton, Drake Greenlaw, they're not massive sustaining injuries. Like, they're not season-ending injuries. They're not none of those. It's a tendon. Like I said, Drew Sanders will be back by the start of the season or right after the start of the season. Alex Singleton's going to be back next week. Drake Greenlaw, he'll be back probably on Monday.
Yeah.
They'll probably take it easy with him, but he'll be back. So we averted some crisis, but I also agree. They should probably, they already brought in another inside linebacker, but I think they should bring in another veteran, more starting caliber type, inside linebacker. If maybe not the start of the season, maybe these guys are healthy and fully ready to go, and no more problems start of the season. But I would at least bring another, like starting caliber guy in for at least training camp and preseason.
Yeah.
Because at this point, with Greenlaw especially, I wouldn't even play him in the preseason. I wouldn't want to risk it. I'd rather save him for the regular season. Maybe you give him maybe a series in the preseason, just one series in one of the 3 games, and pull him out.
Exactly.
Don't risk it. Make sure he's ready to go. But I would bring an extra body in just for that circumstance, honestly. A starting caliber body at the inside linebacker position just for that reason. But before we move on to our last topic, which we're already at 40 minutes. So this show might get cut short tonight a little bit, guys, because, I got things to do actually tonight. My wife's getting ready to leave to go out of town for about 10 days, so I got to help her with that. But anyway, we got another one here from Big E Bronco. He's like, send a 6th-round draft pick this year and maybe one next year for Isaiah Simmons to Tampa Bay. Yeah, I mean, you could possibly do that because Simmons is more of an inside linebacker safety hybrid. Like, I think he spends more probably time in the box, Muhammad, at inside linebacker than he does at the safety position. But I'd be fine with it. Maybe a 6 this year, and that's it. But what are your thoughts to Big E here?
Yeah, I actually think of that. That's not a bad proposal at all. To bring in Simmons and see what he can do, because we could definitely have an insurance in case something happens to our inside linebacker. So yeah, that's not bad, and that's a 6th round pick. That's not too high, so why not?
Well, like I said, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But here's the I'm not gonna say problem, but here's the thing. Isaiah Simmons is more of a hybrid. Like I said, he's more of an inside linebacker slash safety. He's not your traditional sideline to sideline middle linebacker like a Drake Greenlaw is. Um, Drake Greenlaw, like if he goes down, I think your middle linebacker room can survive, but you're not going to have that true stud sideline to sideline inside linebacker. Greenlaw goes down, period. You're not going to have that. Same with the tight end position. Like if Evan Ingram goes down, you're basically to get back to with Adam Troutman, Nate Atkins, probably Lucas Kroll, maybe Caleb Lohner. You're back to the tight end room that you had last year, plus Caleb Lohner. That's it. So this is kind of why a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the Fant thing, I was like, I would bring Fant in just for an insurance policy in case, God forbid, Ingram goes down, because at least you'll still have a pass catching tight end to back up Evan Ingram. I would bring in like you said, Muhammad. I'd probably bring in like a CJ Mosley because he's more of that traditional sideline to sideline inside linebacker. I bring him in as a backup. He ain't gonna want much. He's over 30, so he's not gonna be like, hey, I want 15 million a year. You could probably get him on a 1-year deal for like 8 million.
Yeah,
So
I think that's what he made last year, Eddie. I was looking it up earlier. I think he made 8.3 million or something last year. So we could even get him for less than that. So
yeah, especially since he's older. So I would do that personally, because Simmons is, like I said, he's an inside linebacker ish, but he's a hybrid. He plays safety. That was his position. That's his position. That's what he's known as a safety. That's his position ranking. But he's like I said, he's a hybrid type of safety that can also play inside linebacker. They bring him down a lot into the box, mostly to help with the run. But I would want to bring in someone that could take. It's like you got plenty of linebackers in this room that can play the run. That's basically Singleton's job: tackle and play the run game. Because Greenlaw is you're going to be your pass coverage, inside linebacker and the guy that can play sideline to sideline. You need someone else like that. And Simmons, he's that kind of, like I said, he's a hybrid, but he's more of a run stopper than he is a pass coverage guy. So, but we got another one here from Biggie Bronco, and then we're going to get into our last topic, guys. Trey for Isaiah Simmons, putting with Greenlaw, let him learn from what Greenlaw does with Isaiah Simmons. His athleticism and speed kid could turn out to be something special, even though he's been. I'm assuming you're talking about bringing Isaiah Simmons in to teach Greenlaw. Is that what you're deciphering from this, Muhammad?
To learn from Greenlaw.
For Isaiah Simmons to learn from Greenlaw?
Yeah, since he's, I guess, younger.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, but like I said, again, Simmons is not that traditional sideline to sideline inside linebacker. He's a hybrid. He could play deep like a safety, but he's more of the bring him up into the box, inside linebacker and let him play the run. But what are your thoughts for a Big E Bronco here, Muhammad?
Yeah, see, Eddie, like to me, it doesn't. It looks like. I mean, I know we're concerned. I know we're talking about it. It looks like the Broncos front office, or the Broncos in general, they're probably sharing the same feelings we think about the inside linebacker room, but they're kind of more cautious. They're kind of waiting a little bit to see what might happen. I don't think they're in any rush to do anything about the inside linebacker because it's not like any major injuries, except for Drew Sanders, of course. But it looks like they're going to wait it out. And that's not a they could trade for an inside linebacker, or they could go get a free agent like a CJ Mosley. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, which brings us up to our last topic, and this is kind of where like with the Isaiah Simmons thing, this is where I'm kind of like not really on the Isaiah Simmons thing, Trey. I mean, if you wanted to do it, I'm not going to be upset about it. But like I said, you need that traditional sideline to sideline linebacker because with Singleton going down and Drew Sanders going down, we've got to see this week a lot of Lavelle Bailey, who we saw last year in the preseason. He was an undrafted free agent last year. He's going into year 2 this year. And I remember watching him in the preseason last year. The kid balled out in preseason last year. He had a great, phenomenal preseason last year. And this year in camp, it's the same thing. Singleton goes down, Sanders goes down, so they put him in next to Greenlaw. He's in there blowing up the run. There was like 2 big runs that he stopped. He got into the backfield, and I think he blew up like J.K. Dobbins, or it was either J.K. Dobbins or A.J. Harvey, if not both. But there was 2 plays where he stopped the run.
Yep.
So that's why I'm not too concerned with an inside linebacker that can stop the run, because you got that. Singleton, Lavelle Bailey, like if Singleton's not ready to go, or if you decide to move on from him because Bailey's ready to go, I'm fine with that. Like, it's more like like I said, it's to me, you need another inside linebacker that can cover the field, cover the pass, and play sideline to sideline. Like I said, Isaiah Simmons, in my opinion, he's more that hybrid, that safety inside linebacker, guy that he plays the run relatively well. Now, I'm not saying he can't play the pass, but that's not his strength. His strength is the run game. So kind of like a Talanoa Hufanga. Like, Brandon Jones is going to be your deep over the middle safety. Play center field, play the zone over the middle of the field. And Hufanga is a good guy you're going to be seeing coming down to the box a lot to help stop the run. That's basically what Isaiah Simmons is. But what are your thoughts to this, Muhammad, with Lavelle Bailey just like completely balling out in camp? Like, do you think he has a strong chance to take Singleton's job?
Yes, I actually do, Eddie. He is like being shot out of a cannon. I mean, the kid, and like you said, Eddie, it's not just this year. It's last year we've seen it. So he does have a future with the Broncos if he continues to play. Maybe he can learn from, Greenlaw. He can learn from Singleton and stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, it's really exciting. That's the only kind of light that I have about the inside linebacker. With all the injuries and stuff. The fact that he's balling out, and it looks like he's going to make the team. So hopefully we can build in that and just keep going. Maybe he'll be a starter one day.
Yeah, Lavelle Bailey, like, if you guys remember last year in that, I think it was the final preseason game against the Cardinals, he had that 94-yard pick six. Yep. I think it was Clayton Tune for the Cardinals that he picked off. Yes, I understand it was the backups, but that's how these undrafted guys work. They start off at the bottom and they have to work their way up, to be like a second or first stringer. Like, they have to work their way up. And Bailey, like, honestly, if I was, I shouldn't say run. If I was running the Broncos, I'm not going to 100% say right now, like at this point in time on, August 2nd, 2025, I wouldn't say start Bailey now, but if he has another stellar preseason performance, like, he's probably going to play all 3 preseason games. If he shows that he's meant to be on this roster and he balls out, I would 100% make him the starter opposite of Greenlaw. He's young. He's built like a traditional inside linebacker. He's young. He's fast. He can stop the run. Like, dude, I would go with Bailey. If he proves that if he can do what he did last year in the preseason, I love Alex Singleton. I think he's a tough SOB. He's a Bronco for life, in my opinion. But I would start him over Alex Singleton if he shows that he can be that guy this year. Because that'd be a great tandem. Like, if Bailey comes out and he winds up being that starting caliber, inside linebacker number 2 that we need. Oh my God, dude, that'd be like my wildest dream. It really freaking would. Because with all these contract extensions going out, honestly, I have to look it over a cap because I don't know how much money Broncos have right now, which is kind of why I don't think they're going to go after Parsons, because Parsons is going to want a massive deal. And honestly, that's why I don't think they're going to bring in like a CJ Mosley. I don't think they're going to bring in Isaiah Simmons. Now, granted, Simmons and Mosley probably wouldn't cost you a lot, but they're going to want someone that's going to want under $1 million a year. I doubt, like, probably 800,000 a year. Like the guy they just brought, I forgot the guy's name, but they just brought in an inside linebacker, a guy who I've never even heard of. He's probably making less than $1 million a year. He's probably making like $500,000 because they're kind of strapped for cash right now. So they still got the Russell Wilson $35 million they got to deal with this year. And whoever they bring in, if they bring in a CJ Mosley, if they bring in an Isaiah Simmons, it's most likely going to be a 1-year deal. So that means all that money is going to get paid up front. Like they offer them guys $8 million a year, that $8 million is got to be paid up front this year. Like it's going to be a 1-year deal. So I don't think they're going to bring in anybody else if they do. Because like I said, these guys are going to be back, by next week. Greenlaw will be back next week. Singleton will be back next week. Drew Sanders will probably be back by week 2 of the regular season. So they're not going to go out and spend a bunch of money. I know $8 million, $5 million is not really a lot, but they probably want to hang on to that. Because like I said, they still got to pay Nick Benito. They got to figure out what they're doing. Like, excuse me. Got a tickle in my throat, guys. But this coming up off season, they got to think about paying Nick Benito. John Franklin Myers wants a new contract. And if you stop and think, Malcolm Roach is up after this year, and I'm pretty sure so is DJ Jones. Like, hopefully Savion Jones, the guy we drafted this year at DN, winds up being that next guy to take over for John Franklin Myers, but then you still got to pay Nick Benito. You got to figure out what you're doing with defensive tackles starting next year because DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach are both going to be gone unless you pay one of them, which I don't know what they are, but that's just my opinion. So I don't think the Broncos are going to bring in any more players. Like if they do, it's going to be like guys just to fill in, put a body in there for preseason and training camp is all it's going to be. Because the Singleton's going to be back this week. Greenlaw is going to be back. Drew Sanders will be back by week 2. You still got Lavelle Bailey and Justin Chernot. Let's not forget about him, who played a lot of starting snaps last year. I don't think they're going to bring in another big name inside linebacker with that Simmons, Mosley. I don't think they're going to bring in anybody like that. But we got a couple of comments here. Another one from Biggie. Thanks, Biggie. He says, Isaiah Simmons ran a 4.39 at the NFL Combine. He's more of a sideline-to-side linebacker, yes, but he can play safety, yes, but he's more of an inside linebacker. True, but like I said, he's more of a stopping the run type of guy. Like, whenever he played with Arizona, I remember watching him in Arizona, they would always bring him down to the box to, play the run. Now, I mean, I guess that could be good in the sense that he played with Vance Joseph. He played in Vance Joseph's system, but I don't think the Broncos are going to do that. I don't think they're going to bring in somebody that they're going to have to pay like even $5 million. So they're kind of strapped. They got to find out about Nick Benito, like I said, DJ Jones, and John Franklin Myers. But what are your thoughts here, Mohammed?
Yeah, it's that I forgot about it. He's got this, he's familiar with Vance Joseph, obviously. But it's like you said, Eddie, like it's gonna really take a major injury, knock on wood, I hope that doesn't happen for them to actually explore those options. But they're really looking at it, well, it's not anything major. Maybe we should just wait it out and see what happens. But that might be an option for them, if that's what they're trying to do. We shall see.
And that's the good thing too. Like you ain't got a rush right now, like you said, Mohammed, to get a Mosley. And like Biggie Broncos stated earlier, like if you get Simmons, you're probably going to have to trade some assets. Now, granted, yes, it's a 6th-round pick, but I don't think George Payton's going to want to even get rid of a 6th-round pick because George Payton's really good at finding talent in the late rounds of the draft. He loves having all them picks to get talent in the draft. He'd rather do that than go out and sign an Isaiah Simmons. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just what George Payton's going to do. But like I said, I agree with Mohammed. Unless like a major injury happens to one of these top guys, like to where they're going to be out for the season, like an Achilles, an ACL, or even a concussion or something like that, or broken arm, broken leg, something like that, to where they're going to be out the season, then you probably are not going to see a signing like an Isaiah Simmons, especially a trade. Like I don't think they're going to part ways with draft picks right now. I think they're going to work because like they Greenlaw, like I said, is going to be back this week. So is Alex Singleton. You got Bailey. You got Justin Strnad. Drew Sanders is probably going to be back by week 2. He's probably going to start the season off on the injury list. But yeah, I don't see them making any more big moves with like a Simmons or a Mosley or any other player for that matter. If they do, it's going to be someone like the guy they just brought in. I think his name was Watson or Wilson, maybe. I think it started with a W. I can't remember. Warren, maybe. I can't remember. But they just bring in these, bodies just to fill in for training camp and preseason so that Greenlaw and Singleton can heal, like they're supposed to. So I wouldn't hold your breath on a Broncos making a trade for Isaiah Simmons or bringing in anybody else, like big name player wise. We got another one here from Biggie Bronco. He says Drake Greenlaw is 6 foot, 230 pounds. Isaiah Simmons is, I'm assuming that's 6'4", not 64, 235, and Isaiah Simmons is more of a coverage inside linebacker on than a run stopper. Like I said, in Vance Joseph's system, he was more of a run stopper. Like he would bring him down in the box and stop the run. And like I said, like I would personally, I wouldn't want to bring in Isaiah Simmons because I'd rather see what you have in Lavelle Bailey or Drew Sanders. Like I said, me and Muhammad both agreed on this, that if one of these guys were out for the season, like they had a bad injury, then yeah, you could do that. Bring him in and see what you got. But the fact that Greenlaw, Singleton are going to be back this week, Sanders will be back. You still got Justin Strnad. You still got Lavelle Bailey, who honestly, I would rather give Lavelle Bailey touches than bring in another inside linebacker. But what are your thoughts, the Biggie Broncos comment here, Muhammad?
Wow, Eddie. I mean, I honestly, I didn't know Isaiah Thomas was this big. He was, God, 6'4", 235. And if he's got that speed, maybe it's something that he can, work on and do the coverage, be that sideline to sideline thing. So I don't know. We shall see, Eddie. We shall see what happens.
I don't even know how old he is. He's got to be in his late 20s. He's been in the league for years. I think he came in like 2017 or 2018. I think it was. So he's got to be close to 30.
I think I wanted the Broncos to get him, but I think he went early too. I wanted them to.
Okay, yeah. But like I said, I'd rather just stick with the linebackers you got now. Like if like Greenlaw or Singleton goes down, I'd rather give since Drew Sanders is like going to be out. Like once Drew Sanders comes back, I want to see what you got in Drew Sanders and Lavelle Bailey. Because let's not forget, when they brought in Drake Greenlaw, I think it was like a 3-year deal, Muhammad, for like, what was it, $35 million? I think like it's basically a 2-year deal to see if he can stay healthy. Sorry. If he can stay healthy and play an entire season, they'll probably keep him around for that 3rd year. But it's basically just a 2-year deal. That way, if Greenlaw winds up getting hurt real bad again, they can move on from him. So, but you got all these young players like Bailey. I'm sorry, but Bailey to me, I'd rather see him than anybody else. Like if Greenlaw or Singleton go down, I want to see Lavelle Bailey. Like nothing against Sanders, but like I said, if he has another stellar preseason this year, dude, Bailey's the guy I want to see. I don't want to bring anybody. Like, I mean, if you have to bring in someone else for back or like depth, that's fine. But I want Bailey to get the start, just one game to see what he does. Like that's who I want to see personally. But if you guys got any more comments, please get them in. Also like, comment, subscribe on this video, and hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. But Muhammad, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Football is back. There's going to be a bunch of games this, towards the end of the week. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of content for next week. We get to see the Broncos play on Saturday. Hopefully they let the starters play a little bit so we can, see what they got and stuff. Yeah, exciting, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see the starters. It'll probably be like last year where like the first 2 games, you're going to see the starters a little bit. Like you'll probably see them for like a few series. I think it was like the first game you saw, you saw the starters for like a couple of series, and then the second game, you seen them play almost the entire first half. And the third game, none of the starters played. It was all backups. So I think Sean's probably going to do the same thing this year. First game, you're probably going to see the starters for a few series. You'll probably see them a little bit more in the second and the third game. You ain't going to see them. But I'm excited, man. Yeah, you're right. Broncos football is back next week, guys. We got football galore next week. Next weekend, starting Thursday, you got 4 days worth of football next week. Yes, I understand it's preseason, but it doesn't matter. For me, I'm just happy football's back. Like the entire summer, man. I hate summertime. I love the fall. It gets cold, leaves start changing, Halloween, football season, the snow. That's my vibe. I hate the heat. I hate the summer. So the fact that it's almost here, I'm super pumped. We got a couple more comments here before we get out tonight, Mohammed. Isaiah Simmons is 27 years old. Okay, so dang, he must have came in early in his career. He must have came in when he was like 20, dude. Because I could swear he's been in this league for like 7-8 years.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
But thanks, Biggie. Mohammed, we got another one here from Michael. Great show, Ed, Mohammed, Go Bo Broncos. Thanks, man. Really appreciate you guys watching. For everybody that watched tonight, really appreciate you guys. Next week, since the Broncos play on Saturday and they're playing nights, I think they start at like 6:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Eastern. And since Mohammed's on the Eastern timeline, we probably won't do our show next Saturday. We'll probably do it Sunday. Yeah. Probably afternoon, evening time. Just so Mohammed doesn't have to stay up late doing the podcast because the game's probably gonna be going on until at least midnight his time.
Yeah.
So
work the next day.
But we'll be back on Sunday of next week after that, and we'll have a lot to talk about because we'll have a game to talk about. We'll talk about all the players in that game and go over everything from the game. So, Mohammed, it was good to talk to you again tonight, brother, and I look forward to next week and talking with you again after the game, and I hope you have a good week, man.
Absolutely, man. You as well.
All right, guys, we will see you guys next week. Peace.